We are now recording. And I will go ahead and paste our agenda in the chat. Thanks everybody for joining tonight. It's nice to see you. We are going to plan to talk about several things tonight. It doesn't look like we have any public comment, but we will do just some introductions because we have some new folks in the meeting tonight, our events team staff. So we'll do a quick round of introductions. And then what we want to talk about tonight are a handful of things. First, we want to talk a little bit more about how we're going to handle entry to the market, which we're calling our reservation system. We've said tickets a couple times and it sounded like that means it costs money to get into the market. So we've tried to shift our language to reservations. So that's what that's about. We want to talk about a partnership with the Chalk Art Festival, and then talk a little bit about some other components at the market in terms of performers, activities, maybe adjacent businesses or organizations that want to be involved. We want to check in on vendor recruitment and outreach, and we want to review selection criteria and that process, because that will be what we'll do next time the subcommittee comes together. So it's a tall agenda, but we'll see how far we get and do our best. So with that, let's go ahead and start with just some introductions. If you maybe can just include how long you've been on this planning committee, or just maybe one fact about your connection to the night market would be great. And I will just pick Shara, you're the first one on my screen. And if you could introduce yourself and then pick the next person, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi Bren and Shannon, nice to meet you here. My name is Shara Nouri, my second year with DAB and second year with Beaverton Night Market Planning Committee. Nice to meet you. And second one is Jody, is count? Yeah, Jody.
Hi everyone, my name is Jody Monroy and I am the contracted market manager for the Beaverton Night Market. And I think this is the 5th year that I've been doing this, and it is one of the highlights of my summer.
Monica, would you go next?
Sorry, I forgot to say that.
You're on mute. Monica, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah, mute. I'm sorry. My name is Monica Estrella, and Jody, we've been with the night market 7 years. This is our 7th year, yes. So, and you've been from the beginning. So I've been a DAP member from 7 years, and night market 7 years. So nice meeting you. I don't know, Brian, I guess.
All right, hey everybody, I'm Brian Baker. I work for the City of Beaverton's events program. I have been working on the night market for about 6 years, I believe. Every year except the very first year. Oh, sorry, I'll pick let's go Shannon.
I'm Shannon Mason. I'm the events manager. I started last August. So the first event I had anything to do with was night market. I just kind of showed up my first week and did what I could. You guys did all an amazing job last year of putting something together. Ahmed?
Hi, thank you, Shannon. My name is Ahmed Zubaidi. This is like, we can say, the 7th year with night market. For the first 5 years, I was volunteer, and last year and this year I'm involved with DAB and night market too. So let's hope we can keep going this legacy. Thank you.
Carol, would you go next?
Yeah, sure. This is Hiral Pandya. I'm the newbie around the corner. It's my first year in DEB and also in the night market. I'll tag Manije.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Hello. My name is Mehmis, and I've been with DAB and Beaverton Night Market for 7 years now. And welcome the new faces. I pick
Rehana.
So, Rihanna.
yeah, I cannot see. Okay,
Hi
thank you.
everyone. Sorry for the little glitch. Just trying to vacate the room, get the kids out of the room. So yeah, hi. My name's Rehana Malik, and this is my second year on DAP and my second year on the Night Market Committee. It's good to be here with all of you and welcome all the newbies. Look forward to the meeting. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Well, as you all probably know, we have a little staff committee. We meet on a weekly basis, Brian, Shannon, Jody, and I, to work out some of the finer details. So they are very much on top of, involved in the entire process, but we rarely do this like cross connection thing with the subcommittee. So I'm glad we're doing it earlier this year. We're really lucky to be able to partner with them internally on the night market. So they are, among other things, our expertise around how to pull off the actual event. And so we wanted them to be here tonight in particular to talk about what we're envisioning for what we mean when we say limited entry to the market and how we're going to control and promote attendance at not just restrict, but also, promote the type of attendance that we want at the market. And so I'm going to just turn it over, first of all, to Shannon and Brian to talk a little bit about or however you all have it planned, to talk about what we have in mind. Because I know in the past several subcommittee meetings, we've had lots of questions and discussion around, what does this look like? And what could it look like? And why do we need to restrict in this way versus this way? And how does that work? So we're gonna give an overview of kind of like what we're thinking right now, get some feedback. We're gonna sort of separate that from a second piece within this reservations topic that is around how do we distribute the limited number of tickets that we have. So not that you can't ask questions about both, but just know that we're going to sort of go over like what we have in mind around the entry pieces. And then we're going to talk about, okay, so if we know we can have this many people, how do we want to make sure we get those reservations in the hands or entry in the hands of the folks that we're hoping for. So go ahead, Shannon.
Are you able to see my screen? Awesome.
Yes,
okay.
We can see it.
So as I'm sure you're aware with the COVID, it makes it very challenging to figure out how many people you can let into events safely, the best way to go about doing that. So we do appreciate that you are all being very flexible and working with us on this as we also work through it, but we do have some good ideas for you, we think. I'm going to give you a brief overview to start with. So first of all, we have two terms that we're going to be using, pre-registration and on-site registration. The idea is that pre-registrations would be done through Eventbrite, and we would release a certain number of reservations, which if I happen to say tickets, like Alexis says, I mean reservations, but we will release a certain amount of reservations on Eventbrite. But then we will also have on-site reservations, which means that if somebody didn't pre-register for whatever reason, or if they just happen upon the night market and want to become involved, we don't want to have to turn those people away. And so we do want to have a specific number of reservations available for people who show up and want to get involved so that they can. We are thinking that we will allow groups in every 30 minutes, which would allow for small groups of people so that people don't have to queue in line for long amounts of waits. The pre-registration guarantees a specific time that they're able to get into the event. And the on-site registrations is kind of, we have a certain amount for a given time, and people who show up within that given time can enter until we run out of room and hit our max limit, depending on whatever the risk level happens to be. So yes, we're thinking every 30 minutes and then allowing people into the night market for 90-minute stretches of time, which we're hoping will be enough, and people will find that to be adequate in their ability to enjoy the event. There are approximately like 100 staff, which would include the volunteers, the vendors, the performers, the chalk art people, all of those things. And so we have to actually reduce that number or take that number away from the total max number of people that we can allow in as participants, because we all count toward the gathering size, not just the participants that we let in. So please keep that in mind as we move forward. How many people enter during each time slot? Let's see if we can talk through this. Okay, so from 4, we are thinking 50 people would be allowed in at the pre-registration that would have released on Eventbrite, and we would potentially have 50 on-site tickets available for people who just happen upon the event at that time or wanted to come but didn't pre-register. That would give us a total of 200 people to start off the evening. We can bump these numbers up if we're in the medium or low risk level, but for now I'm going to talk about the numbers in this column here, but we can bump it up by about 25 people if we wind up in a lower risk level. So at 4:30 we would be allowing in 75 more people, 25 on-site tickets, and as you can see, it just kind of goes on there. I'm going to show you how this actually will work. So for the 4 to 5:30 time slot, all of these people in green, the circles are your pre-registrations, the on-sites are your stars. At 4:30 to 6 time spot, we would allow in more people. So then you get your purple circles and purple stars, and you can see our numbers are starting to grow. They grow even more at 5. And they start to, you'll see, replace, our first group will be leaving at 5:30. And then we will have that group replaced by this one. And that will carry on throughout the evening. So that's kind of how that would look, so that we can maintain a certain amount of people, not exceed the max limit. I know that it looks like there's not a whole lot of people there to begin with, but it's really hard to do a rolling start in that way and go with a mass number of people to let in right away, because then they just wind up all standing in line waiting for their time to go in. So we might adjust how many on-sites or pre-registration we have for that, but it will start and end with fewer people than the rest of the event. So the totals per day that we would be looking at then in a high and extreme risk would be 775. And the medium to low risk would be 1,200. Jody, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But that is what we have. So in a nutshell, that's kind of our thinking at this point. Do you have any questions? I'm sure you have many questions.
This is Manisha. Thank you for the presentation. So each day is going to be more than 700?
So Jody, is that correct that each day we hit like 775 or 1,200, or is that total for the entire 2 days? I wasn't really.
So the 775 number is for one day. So that's Friday, and then another 775 on Saturday. And that's if we are high risk or extreme risk in the county. It goes up to 1,200 if we're medium or low.
Okay.
Wow, that is great. Thank you for the response.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The 90 minutes, do you think, I'm thinking, I should say, 90 minutes will be enough for people to go around?
You know, we had a long conversation about this and we did think that 90 minutes was enough. If there are people who know that they're going to want to be there for more than 90 minutes, there's nothing that would keep them from extending their time utilizing one of the on-site tickets as long as they're available, or pre-registering for multiple times. They could even potentially do that. I don't really anticipate that most people would want to be there for more than 90 minutes. There are only 30 vendors this year and less performances. So 90 minutes seems like a reasonable time.
Okay. Also, I've been thinking about this. If they have the pre-registration and for some reason they don't come at the time that they were supposed to be there, how are you going to handle that?
So if they don't come at the time that they were supposed to be there, then what would happen is when they show up, their pre-registered ticket would no longer be valid, but there would be on-site tickets, hopefully, available for them so that they could enter during whatever time they do happen to show up. So we are able to adjust because we know life happens and all of that. And people can't always necessarily make it for the time that they thought that they would be there. If they show up like 15 minutes late or something to their pre-registered time slot, we'll probably just let them in under that pre-registered time slot, and then they just don't get that additional 15 minutes. They sort of lose it. And the 90 minutes does include the time that they spend in the food court too. It's the entirety of their time at the event.
And if there is no site tickets for that hour or that time, and the people did not show up, and we don't have site tickets for them anymore because so they're not going to be able to come in. Is that what it is?
Yes. So if they show up at a time that they did not pre-register for and all of the on-site registrations are already taken up, then they'll have to wait until the next half an hour in order to get in and hope that some on-site registrations would be available at that time.
Okay. I was thinking about what would happen if the people does not show on time. And you know, so I just want to make sure that I understand everything, that you know, maybe I would like to be involved in the event. So if somebody has a questions, I will be able to get the exact answer how we want to handle that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think Harold, were you going to say something? And
Yeah,
then
yeah. So are we going to have controlled entry and exit points?
Yes, we are going to have controlled entry and exit points.
So if so, is there a reason that we are not thinking of the option that we discussed last time, like a store kind of entry where we can keep a track of how many people are in, and we can.
So having the combination of the on-site registrations and the pre-registrations allows for that approach. So if somebody shows up at any time and didn't pre-register, then the on-site registration slots are available for that. So they can do a trickled entry for that half an hour. The pre-registration, what it does is guarantees that you'll be able to get in. It doesn't necessarily, it doesn't mean you can't get in at a different time. It doesn't mean that only people who pre-registered can get in. It just means that if you pre-registered, we have committed to you that there will be a spot and you will be able to enter at the time that you selected.
Okay, so we will be doing that continuous counting monitoring system, and
yes,
depending on that, we will allow on-site entrances, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so people who show up like at random times that aren't exactly on the half hour may have a few minutes less than other people who get the full 90 minutes, but yes, we would still let them in. Yeah, as long as there's, you know, we're not at max capacity, but we are making allowances.
Yeah, and how do we make sure that all the people are flushed out once their time is done? Like, is there a...
We've been discussing different ways that we might be able to do that. Haven't landed on any terrific ones yet. So if you have ideas, I'm personally thinking that maybe some kind of like we attach a light that's a certain color to each half an hour, and then that light color will start flashing. and they will be up. And so people will be able to see if your light is flashing, then your time is coming to an end and we are waving goodbye. And then they would leave. And then they would have, we're thinking wristbands that would correspond with the color of their time of entry. But we're still working on that. That's
And Shannon, you had also talked about the possibility of maybe using a text that Eventbrite allows us to possibly send somebody a text and say your time is up or almost up or something.
That is true too.
But haven't worked that out.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, Ahmed and then Rehana next.
Hi, thank you for this presentation, Shannon. I believe you work hard on it. So my question is, if we will have a lot of people, they came late and we end up with like maybe 20 or 10 people, they just wait to get in. So how we will control that, like how we will do like separate them so we will not have everybody in the same place try to get in, so so they will not be together. Thank you.
Okay, I think I understand the question, but if I start veering away from what you're asking, then just let me know. But okay, so again, this is a question that we're trying to solve using the combination of the pre-registration and the on-site. So even if you show up late, if you have a pre-registered ticket, if you show up like 15 minutes late, then you can go in right then and give up that 15 minutes of additional time from your 90-minute slot. If they wanted to wait around till the next half an hour and roll the dice on getting in for a full 90 minutes using an on-site reservation for the next half hour, they could do that. And so any people that show up, that just happen to show up, can get in using the on-site tickets. As far as, we will have people queued up in line, and so we will mark on the ground like 6 feet apart, and people will have to wait in line 6 feet apart in order to get in. Eventbrite will allow us to have names of pre-registered people, and our phones are able to scan QR codes that they get with their tickets so that we know whether or not they've arrived. If we get to like 20 minutes and people haven't showed up that are supposed to be there, we can convert those numbers into on-site tickets and start letting even more people in if they happen to be there and are waiting around and want to get in and somebody didn't show up and use their spot. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, like my question is like, if they will stand in the line, like we will have people, because like maybe they are neighbors, they know each other, so they try to to be close to each other, to stand to each other and have conversation. And we will end up with a situation we will have like maybe 10, 15 people, they stand just together
I see.
For chatting.
Okay, so one of the COVID guidelines actually requires you to have somebody on site who is a COVID safety monitor. We're going to need more than one, so we'll have a number of designated COVID safety monitors, and those people will look for that sort of instance, and then we'll go and like talk to people about, we need to keep people safe, we need to make sure that we're following the rules so that we can continue to have in-person events, and ask them to stand on their 6 foot apart spots and things of that nature. If they're outside of the event and they don't want to stand in line and they want to go off to the side and be communal with each other, there's nothing we can do about that. But they're not part of the event at that point either. A similar thing would happen within the event too.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Go ahead, Rehana, and then Shara next.
Hi, yeah, so my primary question has been answered. It was, how are we going to make sure that that group in that particular time slot are going to be flushed out? But so that's been answered. It's the light system, right? So it's going to be a flashing light system. Okay, or something, or a megaphone or something like that. Yeah. So the second question was, within the event itself, are we going to have a one-way flow system? Is it going to be free for all, walk where you want, or is it going to be you have to follow a structured pathway to get to the next vendor?
It's a really good question. We are looking at having some kind of flow to the event to try and keep people headed in specific directions. That is a conversation we're still having about how we want to do that and what the flow will look like. And then we're also checking out various events in the area that are somewhat similar to the night market to see how they're managing that as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Shannon, I have two questions. So when we are talking about register, pre-registration and on-site, so the pre-register, it has to be through online just, right? Like people has to reserve and it's one per person, not a family.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes.
Great. Okay.
We're thinking of some different options for that, but I'm going to let Alexis take that one on next.
Okay, I have a question. I'll be back to you, Alexis. But can we let vendors like invite people around them, like giving them like each one at least 5 tickets to invite their friend, their family member to be there?
That'll be part of the next discussion too.
Okay.
These are really good
Anna
questions because we've
Anna-
also had these same questions.
Okay. Okay, I'll wait a little bit. Thank you.
That's
Sure.
perfect. I think it's fine. We can transition into that and then just kind of flip flop because it isn't a, like, they aren't two totally separate topics, right? They are related. So yeah, the next thing we wanted to talk about, now that you have that background of sort of how we're thinking it would generally flow, is to talk about the distribution of tickets. So the first thing I would say is, right, we recognize that if we're talking about 775 to 1200, whatever the range is per day, that's a total of, 2,400 maybe on a optimistic day, right? That's really different than 8,000 a night, 7,000 or 8,000 a night. It's only one weekend. Things are going to be different. We're in the middle of COVID. Not everybody will be comfortable coming. There's, we're going to try to adjust marketing so that we still have visibility, but we're not, hitting as hard everybody to come. But essentially, if you look at that, there's a big difference there, right? It's not a just come one, come all, please. We're going to have to do some things to try to make the market accessible to the audience that we're trying to target as much as possible. And we're not going to get everybody. Some people are going to want to come and they're not going to get to come. So I think we want to have a conversation around what do we do then to make it most, who is that audience then, if we had to narrow it down and we didn't invite the world, or we didn't have the world show up, or even the entire metro region, or however you want to do that, say that, who is that ideal audience? And then second, what do we want to prioritize in our plan for distributing these reservations? So I have a couple of options just to lay out that I'll lay out in the chat and just kind of share them as ways we could think about prioritizing different ways to access the reservations. But then I'm interested in your feedback about both that and ideal audience and which of these or others makes the most sense. So option A is sort of like the free market option, right? We put all the tickets through Eventbrite. We put it on. We announce it over social media and other channels, and then we just let people. And it's kind of first come first serve, right? And maybe we release in a couple of different waves, so we don't release them all at once. But we're just using that Eventbrite as the primary channel for people to get it, and it's whoever gets on there and gets their ticket first that gets to get a reservation. Again, they're still on-site tickets, but that gets their reservation ahead of time. A second option would be to do kind of what you were starting to allude to, Shara, which is kind of like what I would call a snowball approach, right? We start with thinking about giving all the DAB members some tickets to give away. We think about giving all the vendors some tickets to give away, performers, maybe even the adjacent businesses that are like agreeing to have us occupy that space, or whoever we'd put on that list. And we would sort of let you all give out the reservations. A third option would be to sort of designate some times in which people could get a ticket either in person or over the phone. So maybe we host some like phone banking and show up to get your ticket kind of sessions out in the community. Maybe it's at the library, maybe it's at a THPRD location, or at a culturally specific place like I put Wajimaya in there as like an example, right? But somewhere we could get a table and we could put that, and we'd also maybe have people answering phones for folks that don't want to come in person and can't really do the internet thing, right? So those are just to like throw out some general ways that we've thought of that we could look at distribution. What are your thoughts? And Shara, does that help? Do you want to come back to what your questions were with that information?
Yeah, it was really helpful. So for me to guarantee we have enough people in the market, at least starting with our city staff, the vendors, like each one can invite some people. We have some ticket for these people that we are really sure they're gonna attend. They will buy some stuff, they will eat some food. They like to spend time there. And even if your relative, your friend, if you have a lot of people on site, we can ask them to leave the event, but you can't do that with like a public people. So I'm thinking about this option. And beside, if we see like we have still a lot of spot when we get close to the event, we can do like THPRD, library, the other option for people to come to get a ticket. And online is always helping, but you know, I don't want to come to the event by myself. At least I want to have my husband, one of my friends, to come to the event. So I'm reserving in a different time, but she or he can't reserve in the same time. So it's gonna be like apart, and I'm coming to the event just going around by myself. It's not gonna be that much fun. That's my opinion. Thank you.
That's all really helpful. Yeah, I think just to clarify, I think you know, and correct me, I'm not the Eventbrite expert, but I think the idea would be that the reservations would be lined up in half-an-hour chunks, and then there would be a certain number of them available. So I could go on and I could say, I want 5 tickets at 4:30, and I would grab my 5 tickets for my people at 4:30, as long as there were still 5 available, right? You wouldn't necessarily have to have each person go in and do it individually, nor would you necessarily end up at a different time. But there'd be maybe, you know, 50 available at 4:30 on Friday, and I would go in and grab my 5 for my people.
Okay.
Is that right,
would be
Shannon?
great, but last
That's
time,
how that works.
that's what I understand. It was like 1 ticket per 1 person. That was my understanding. So if I can reserve for more people, that's a good option as well.
Yeah, I've been using it to have people sign up for our smaller events, even just to kind of test it out. And people have signed up multiple people at once. So it doesn't need to be an individual thing.
And do they put in names, Shannon? So it's not like somebody goes in, and we probably put a limit on it, right? So somebody couldn't go in and grab 25 tickets from a certain slot or something like that. We'd probably want to be a little careful about that. But yeah, it would be designated for people, but you could do it on behalf of people. Go ahead, Monica.
When you talk about reservations, when they make the reservations, do they make for the time that they want it, or just make reservations anytime during the event? Or do they have to specify, I want to be at 4:30 group, or I want to be at 6:30? So
Absolutely, they need to specify the time if they're doing a pre-registration.
Okay. Thank you.
Rihanna, I see that you dropped option A in the chat. Do you want to advocate a little bit or tell people what they think?
Yeah, the reason I dropped option A was because I feel Eventbrite is pretty reliable, and it's accurate, you know, and it puts less pressure on the people to sell the ticket, or not sell, but to give the tickets out, and it's comprehensive. I think, you know, it's all computated. So, and we have an accurate reflection of the numbers and the number of people we think are going to attend. That's my thinking. And also social media, everyone seems to be on it these days. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Great. What do other people think? If you had to choose your primary option there, or maybe you have a different idea. But it gets to this question around who is our ideal audience, right? Who do we want to make sure is able to get there?
I like the idea of giving, for instance, for the DAP members to give away some tickets, or to give the library to give away tickets to. I like that idea. I like very much. I think that it will be like selective trying to see which are the audience we're going to get. So you were talking about that. So if you give to some DAB members to give the tickets, or to the library or another entity that can give the tickets away, I think that would be a good idea too. I kind of like it. I kind of like it because I was going to ask that what happened? What can I do if I want my family to come? Because they're going to spend money. They're going to do what we want. They're going to help the vendors and everything. So if I want my family to come, how I'm going to do? Can I do something different, or can I get the tickets for them? That was another question that I had. So when you mentioned that, I think I like that.
One thing I will just add to clarify is we've talked a little bit about this idea of like having other people give out tickets, or having, a store or an organization give out or something. And I think where we've landed, and I certainly will speak for myself, I don't think that's a realistic ask of somebody else because of the complexity of this and because it takes staff capacity, right? So like, why is somebody going to want to do that at Owajimai or at somewhere else? Like, I don't think we have strong enough ties or a buy-in reason for them to do that. So I think we could give out tickets, but we would need to rely on our network to really do that. So whether that's you all, or it's our, other people that are involved in the event in some way or whatever. So I just want to sort of say, yes, that's fine, we could do that, but let's take away this idea that we're going to sort of farm out that task to somebody else, because I don't actually think in practice people are going to be willing to do that for us. Okay. Or we might not want them to because it'll be too complicated.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. Carol, were you going to jump in there? No. Others? Ahmed, you said.
Hey, Alexis.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So, like, do we have to have one option, or I'm thinking option 1 and A and B both are good. Like, can we divide some tickets here and there?
It would be out of DAB form to not suggest we do more than one or all of the above. No, that's totally fair game. You can also say.
I mean, to me, both looks. I want to give out the tickets as well, and like I'm sure everyone has some references or people whom they want to give out tickets. So I would say option A and B.
Great. Any concern about people being able to access in either of those ways, like either being able to get to the Eventbrite and get tickets themselves, or get them through you all or somebody that they know? Any concerns about needing to have, for example, a phone line for people to call in and get tickets or reservations, or are we okay with those couple of methods? And of course, we have talked about on-site as well, but.
So for online, my opinion, I shared it before, or Facebook or Instagram page. It's if you share it just a normal post, like not amount of people can see it and they're gonna miss it. You have to do ad and target the right people, like people that's interested in food. Like when I'm doing it for my sport equipment, I'm saying people in age 25 to 40, if they're interested in workout, going to gym, fitness. So I'm targeting the right people. They can see the ad and then they can get to the market. But if you just post it as a normal post on Facebook, not much people can see it. Like I'm gonna share it, Monica gonna share it, someone else, but still it's not enough for that. So we need to do ads for that.
Jody, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I put in the chat the idea of, for option A, would there be, and going back to what Alexa said about like, who are we trying to reach, who might be more difficult to reach, who do we want to reach, does any of that have, would we want to do any sort of social media marketing about the reservations in other languages prior to English or alongside English, or what do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I actually think that we do need to put it in other languages. I was thinking more of a poster, having it have a poster in some of the businesses, the culturally sensitive ones, some of the stores, along with, I mean, I think hand in hand, it has to go alongside the hard marketing, social media marketing, flyer marketing, maybe word of mouth. Everything has to be in combination, I think, to get the maximum reach.
Ahmed?
I think like for language, we have like, I think 5 or 4 language right now in this room. We can help with interpretation and announce it in different language. And like example, I was talking about myself. I can help with interpretation, and if we got some posters, I can go to all the halal market I know, and we can put it there, and plus we can post it in our community Facebook page, other communities Facebook page, and even we can maybe we can, I can deliver it to the Beaverton school district, and they can share it with the schools, and even we can give to the vendors who will involve. Of course, they have business and they can put it in their business too. So I think that will be a good network. We can reach more people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate those ideas. I think those are all really strong ideas, and we just have to keep in mind that if we, if we're talking about 2,400 tickets and we divide it by 100 different sources, or how many sources are we dividing it by, right? And how many tickets do we want to give out? There just are only so many. So I think our intention of this conversation is both, like, what are all the ideas, but also what are the ideas you all want to put on top? Because for the first year ever, we're actually not, we have a limitation around how many people we reach successfully, how many people we actually get down there. So
I'm talking about like posters and announcements that we can let people know we have event. I'm not talking about like the ticket. So for the ticket, like maybe Shara, she mentioned that some people, they don't know how to use even their computer and they want to attend. So who will help them to get a ticket if they don't know how to use computer or navigate the survey or monkey survey to get to that ticket? So I don't know how we can deal with that people or with those people too. So they don't have internet access, or they don't know how to read and write even in their language. Like I deal with many people, they don't know how to read and write even in their language because they are not educated, and they want to attend to those events, especially now when the things start to open step by step. People, we can say it in this way, thirsty to attend to any event or any public event. So I don't know how we can reach those people too.
Alexis, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to take that?
Oh, I was just listening to it as feedback. I wasn't planning on responding right now. So if you have something you want to add, you can go ahead. I am thinking that we need to move on because we have some other things we need to talk about. And I think you all have given some really good feedback. And I think we can, then use that to sketch this out a little bit more about like, what would, if we went with sort of a combination of option A and option B, what would that look like? How many tickets would that mean? Do we need other materials ahead of time, such as what Ahmed's, I think what you're suggesting is maybe we need an additional, some sort of a poster outreach material that we're giving out that's not just the come to the event one, but it's something like get your tickets from X, Y, and Z people, or so we can talk about what we need from those. But I feel like we made some good progress. I've got some good notes. So any final comments on ticketing, or get rid of that word, reservations or entry?
I have a concern. It's a concern that I'm having right now when we mention the tickets, the reservations, what audience we want. I'm beginning to feel the night market is not what it is in the sense of the people come to everyone to come. And right now I'm feeling like it's not like that right now, because it's kind of like for me, the best way to do would be on site, the tickets every time. So whoever comes, because I might mention something very special. There are some people who will not be able to say it, to know it about, or to do it, whether it need to do. And perhaps that people is the one that most want to come. And I'm having a little anxiety thinking that we are not opening the market to everybody. I know we can't because of the numbers, but the way they can come is in my head right now, that concern, that it feels that the night market is not open to everybody. And I do understand that it's not because of what's going on. I think the system we're trying to use, the way we're trying to do for people to come, we always announce the event, the time and the date, and that's all. Now we have to announce who, where, how can get the tickets, how can they get, it's limiting, and I don't feel the same sense of the market. So it's a concern that it just grabbed me right now. Okay, thank you.
Yes, that is, I think that is at the heart of why we're trying to be intentional, at least to try to think about how could we target or do registration in a way that does emphasize who we want it to be open to. But you're right, maybe there are some things that are fundamentally about the structure of it that are going to be a barrier that we can't get around.
So one more thing, I'm just thinking about now the people who don't have access to a computer, who cannot read, you know, Ahmed was stating. I'm wondering if we should form another committee. Like, I would be willing to help anyone who wants to, you know, log on, and I can, you know, we can help people get tickets and reserve tickets. I would be willing to do that for someone, you know, given a set place and time. For those people who do not have access to a computer, who cannot read, who don't know what's going on. Just a suggestion. I don't know how we would logistically do that. I'm just trying to think, work my way around how we can help those people realistically. You know, so we can go to can we go to their houses? Can we help them? Can we distribute tickets?
I think I'm thinking right now, listening to you, and I think that we need to go to the old-fashioned way, more tickets on site, because I picture some people specifically that they go to the parks and go places like that, and when they see and they hear that that's the way they want to go there, but they're not ready to go reserving or anything. For me, my heart tells me on-site is announcing on-site tickets more than doing reservations or registrations, or whatever you call. I think it's more effective. Like when you go to a fair or something, you buy the ticket there when you're going in. And that my heart is saying, like, that's open to everybody. Of course, we're going to have a limited number. We're going to have a limited time too, but it's open for everybody. The people who can or cannot have access, or don't have access, or don't know how to do it. It's getting hard because I care so much for this event. It's very much that I care. Maybe you can see, you can feel that I want to keep it the way it is. And I don't know. It's just something that is getting all over me right now. I'm sorry.
Maybe we can be flexible for the hour, like hour and a half is a very good time for people to spend in the market. But if we see the first hour or second hour, we have more people on site and we can change it. Like say you can spend 1 hour inside instead hour and a half and let more people to be in. And for the people, they don't have access to computer or even they don't know, Ahmed is saying the right thing. There's a people in our community, like they don't know how to read or write in our language. How can they use computer and do that? So you can't help people around you or in your community for doing that. But there is a lot of people missing that. Till now, when I am trying to reach out to people, they are mixing between Beaverton farmer market or just having a food cart in a place and selling something, or what is Beaverton night market, which is 7 years, but still people don't know. They didn't have a very good idea about. So it's a good idea if you can just have a flyer translated in each different, like how many people, we have 13 or more in DAB, we can each one translate it in our language and having more insight to let more people know about that. And for timing, we can just bring it down from hour and a half to 1 hour to let more people be in.
So Shannon, sorry to jump in without raising my hand, but for the numbers, of course, we will be flexible. That's depends how many cases or when will be like Washington County in the risk management, right? So if we have more people show up and we will be low risk, we can let them in, right?
You can have about 25 more people if it's medium to low risk than you can at high to extreme risk. One of the reasons that we really are looking at the reservation options is because night market is such a popular event, and you can only have about 200 people to 300 people in per time slot. And we think that, you know, if we just open it up to all on-site tickets, there's a very good chance that you'll have more people show up than are able to get in, and you'll wind up having to turn a lot more people away than if you do the combination of the on-site and the registration tickets, which would allow for a little bit more control and to guarantee people that they're able to get in and they don't go through the whole rigmarole of showing up and then aren't even able to attend the event.
Can I say something? Part of the advertisement of the tickets, it will be that it is on time, as times, you know, like if you come and pick it up your ticket for this and this hour, it's still, we will explain to people that is from time, the time gaps, even if they pick it up on site, if they pick it up early to come back later or whatever. So it will be, I think, the language and the way we explain to the public how it's going to work before we start the event. A week or two before the event, we need to explain to people how it's going to work. If we, you know, if it's decided to have more tickets on site than reservations. So I think that the people will understand why we were doing that. If we have flyers or media communicating them how it's going to work. When you come, you're not going to go in right away. You're going to come and pick it up for the next hour or hour and a half. And they know that. They will understand. So I think that will work. It will help with the communication part.
And even we can record a video, like each language, like maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So people how they don't know how to read and write, or I don't know if they don't have, anyway, if they don't have like internet access, how they will see it. But maybe we can do it like on TV. I don't know, like we can do it video too. So people who like, I'm volunteer to do in Arabic. So up to you guys. Like there's many ideas. I know it's too much for you, Alexis, to keep track. but we try to help. I know it's too much, but we try to help because we don't want our community will be away from those events because we like it and we care for it too much. And so we keep bothering you with all those questions and comments because we care for this event.
That sounds great. Yeah. No, you all are a committee to give ideas and input. So this is exactly what we wanted. And we wanted to get here early to talk about this before we get much further along, because there is still room to adapt it. I think we have some parameters that we know and some reasons why we are talking about this hybrid, on-site and ahead of time thing. But within that, we have some flexibility, and in particular in how we communicate with people and how we distribute, or when we announce the availability of reservations, we can do that in many different ways. So I really like these ideas. I think what I'd like to do is take them and put them into a proposal plan, and then bring it back to the committee and keep refining this. We don't anticipate releasing any reservations for a few months, or I'm not going to say what day today is, but for a while now. So we still have some time, but we wanted to get here early for just that reason. So if everybody's okay, I would like to move on to the next topic, just because we have several things to consult with you all about. So the next piece is around, and Shannon and Brian, whenever you all are welcome to stay the whole time, or if you have other things to get to, feel free to sign off. The next thing we wanted to talk to you all about is a partnership with the Chalk Art Festival. And so I'll just say a few words, and then Jody, if you want to chime in on your conversations with Razier lately, and et cetera, with the committee. So one of the things that we discovered a little while ago, as we were trying to refine the location choice, was that there's a big event in Beaverton that's happened the last couple of years. I'm not sure if you all have been to it or not, but that's just been called the Chalk Art Festival. And basically it's a street fair where chalk artists come from all over the country, and they do these beautiful, live in-person drawings on the ground, and then the public gets to enjoy them for a while, ideally, depending on where they're sited. Well, what we found was that actually the Chalk Art Festival for this year was planning their event on the same weekend and along First Street in a couple of different spots. And so we started to talk to them and found that there was actually this great opportunity for a partnership. Some of the things that we need out of this year are a way to engage participants without having non-COVID friendly activities like interactive things happening within the market, but yet we still want beautiful, engaging things to happen within the confines besides the interaction with vendors. And so certainly there was some trepidation at first, but then it was like, oh my gosh, maybe this could be this incredible opportunity to have these beautiful pieces of art developing during the market that people can enjoy as well. And maybe there's a way for us to benefit each other in terms of some of the things that the Chalk Art team doesn't have the capacity to do that we do or are planning to do, and some things that we maybe could use in terms of ambiance and shared activity or use of the space that could be really beneficial. So Jody, what else do you want to add to that to talk about what we've been discussing?
So that was a really good synopsis of how this partnership is sort of developing. And so we've had me and a couple of members of the team from the Chalk Art Festival have had some conversations, and they seem super excited, as we are, about being able to share a space and create some activity that is COVID safe and friendly for people to be in the market, because one of the fears is, losing that feeling of bustling activity in the market when we all have capacity limits. So in our conversations, where we are sort of right now is that the Chalk Art Festival has decided to sort of merge their timeline with our timeline, so that they're previously they were planning to do a Saturday, Sunday morning chalk art activity, and they've decided to change it to Friday and Saturday evenings, so that they're chalk artists within the night market space, which there will be 2, and they're sort of allocated on the map that we're developing. Bye, Shannon. Bye, Brian. So that they're, that the events seem and feel more seamless and more collaborative rather than separate events where somebody can go and look at chalk art. One of the most exciting things I think that we've sort of landed on is as they seek artists to do their chalk art, which they recruit and select their artists from all over the world. They've decided to sort of do their recruiting and their call for artists based on the idea of the vision of the night market, which is, sharing your heritage culture through your art or through your food or through your, so that's their criteria for selecting their artists, which I'm super excited. So that will fit really nicely in with our activities. As well as the performance, there's going to be some sort of like performing element, whether it be a busker or a roving performer or a speaking artist, will also be in line with sort of that theme. And we're still sort of looking for the details about how to work that all out. In addition to the 2 chalk art spaces that they already had planned for the space within the night market, they also have an additional chalk art space that is about 2 blocks, I think, from where the night market is. And that's sort of, actually they have 2 other spaces, and those are bigger pieces. So they are excited to be able to share with people who might be attending the market and who might be looking at the chalk art within the market that there are these additional locations that we're building these big chalk art pieces, again with the same theme, outside that you can look at all week long. So we are in discussions about how to sort of merge some of our details around logistics and stuff that we need to have on site, as well as scheduling and all the details. But this seems, they're a very easy team to work with, and they really understand and want to honor the sharing of cultures with their event this year, with their theme this year. So I'm really excited about that.
Go ahead, Ahmed.
Sorry, I cannot give up. Like, to being a journalist, will have a lot of question and comment. So I don't want like to be negative. What if like we will have rain? Oregon, like sadly, like the first thing I learned here when I arrived before almost 7 years, the people, they told me, if you don't like Oregon weather, just wait 5 minutes. So what if we have this? And as a parent, I have 3 kids. So my kids, they will dying to visit those kind of event. And how then we will control, because if we will have that and we will announce it, more people they want to attend, how we can fight that back?
So I think to answer your first question about the rain, we are not allowed to say that, Ahmed, because we just don't say that. Okay, it's in August and we're safe, and that's not going to happen.
The wind.
Yes. However, because it's a chalk art, that's definitely a real concern, and I'm sure that they've thought about that before on their chalk art planning team. So I imagine, although I'll ask them next time we talk, what their plan is in case of rain. That's a real question. And then, so another piece that we've been talking about is around this with reservations. We had a really big conversation earlier today about the reservation system, and they are they understand our need to, have a system around capacity and want to incorporate our system into theirs, which they don't have a system, but they want to use our system, collaboratively with us. So if it's Eventbrite, if it's on site, we're currently talking about how to market these events together, which might look like something like, the Beaverton Night Market poster with a little stamp in the corner that says, Chalk Art Festival will be here, and that the communication about how to get tickets and how to attend is the same for both marketing.
I mean, sorry, Monica, just, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. So, you mentioned like maybe we have some, and there is another block, 2 block, we will have more, right? So in the same ticket, can people leave from night market and go to the Trick Festival so they will not feel we send them home?
I think that it's definitely something, you know how our in previous night markets we had sort of a paper flyer that had like the map, or I don't know if this will be a paper thing that says, you know, go check out these other 2 chalk arts down the street, or whether it will be, you know, a sign that's outside of the space where they're doing the chalk art there. But I definitely think that that is really what they're looking to do at the night market, is share with people what they do.
But Jody, correct me if I'm wrong, the spots that are part of the night market area will be active and being created during the hours of the night market. The other spots will be not active during the time that we are like open, or for the most part. There might be an hour overlap or something, but mostly those other ones will be activated on like Friday during the day earlier and Saturday during the day earlier. So it'll be like sort of, they could come to that, or they could come even like check in at their orientation table, and they will say, oh yeah, and come back to night market, right? Or like, here, you know, this is also happening later, and come back all next week when it's not raining to see all of the art, when all this stuff is cleared out and there isn't limited entry and things like that. So coordinating on what is actually active. So no, if you get a ticket and then you leave the night market premises, you would not be able to come back in during that 90 minutes, but you wouldn't really have a reason to, because they won't be doing anything out there.
Correct.
Go ahead, Monica.
Okay, I'm sorry, me too, because I talk too much, but I get very excited. I'm very excited about this. I think it's fabulous. And I think it's showing another way that night market is offering the opportunities to local artists, or, I mean, I think it's a really beautiful type that what you guys had done. And I of course, I'm sad because the table of my art is going to be gone, because okay, this artist and my table, okay. But I'm really excited about that, because I think it's an opportunity for the night market to help and to work together with this other area, which is art that we need to help too, beside other people that we're trying to help through the night market. And I'm not concerned about anything else, because I'm sure they are going to work with us, whatever decisions we make on moving the lines or doing the ticket, the entrance and exits. So I'm very happy, very excited to hear that. Thank you so much, because that creates a very beautiful atmosphere for the night market, especially this year that we're going to start in that way, in a different way, which we're struggling in a way to see how we're going to do the best for everybody. I wish if everybody, I just want to feel that we're not putting barriers to some groups. I want any group of people, any people who wants to come under all the rules and the things that we have to do because of COVID. But I want to feel that it's open for everybody. And this makes so fabulous. I just seeing my colors. I'm just seeing colors. Even though that Alexis is going to take away my table, that's not fair.
Then Alexis, this event, or do you think they allow kids to involve and try to do their art on the street too, or we will have like some barrier and they will just work there and we're watching?
Yeah, we'll be watching, both because these are artists that they like select and invite to come from somewhere else to do their art. And also because, again, we're not going to be sort of passing things back and forth and encouraging people to gather in a tight space. So the idea would be it would be hands off. But ideally, it's cool because you both get to see what the art, but actually the artist's working. So yeah, not interactive in that pick up a piece of chalk and help us do this mural or whatever.
So I just had a question. So I'm not quite clear about I like the chalk art festival idea, but I'm not quite clear. Is it going to be in the same space as the night market, or is it in a different space? Like, is it in the same, that street, T-Zone Street, or is it in a different street?
It's in the same space. So one, I don't know how well you know the area, but they had already coordinated with some of the business owners in that area, particularly Jan's paperback store and the clock repair shop, to use their parking lots, which is right at the intersection really of where our market is, to use their parking lots on those days to do the chalk art.
Okay,
but it's not going to be on the street. It'll be in the parking lots.
Oh, in the parking lot. So, I mean, the rain aspect, we can probably cover, I mean, they can probably cover it by putting tents up and stuff like that. But so, all right, so if it's in the same space as the night market, then people only have 90 minutes. So that 90 minutes might be consumed by just looking at the chalk art and not going around to the vendors. You know, that's my concern.
Yeah, people will need to budget their time.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, if I'd get mesmerized by stuff like that. If I see someone doing art, I'll just stand there every single minute, just watching every stroke, and you know, neglect everything else. But that's just me. But you know, there's a possibility that could happen. The vendors might get neglected, and by people just looking at the chalk art. I don't know. That's something which do we need to extend the time due to that, due to this collaboration? Do we need to do something?
Yeah, those are good points. One thing I will say is it's, I think it will be very engaging, but it just to give you a sense of the scope, I believe that the square that they were working with, was it maybe like a 10 by 10 kind of square, Jody, with like 2 artists or something like that. So just imagine that as opposed to like maybe like a whole parking lot with a ton of people. Like if there are 2 sites with a couple artists working, and by the way, like you can come back this week and look at them and stuff, but yes, I mean, good point. It will be another engaging thing that people will have to divide their time if they want to hit everything inside the market.
Because also if there's food, then you got the food aspect, then you've got you look at all the vendors, and now the chalk art. I mean, I love the idea. I love the collab. I think it's excellent, engaging, something different, and culturally, it matches with what our goal is as well. So I love that part of it. I just feel that we need more time now, to go around and do everything.
Shara, were you trying to get in there?
Yeah, I thought they're gonna let people to participate, because before COVID, I was chasing them everywhere in Montview Park, in Greenway Park, and any event they were doing it. And my daughter was enjoying to do the art with them. But if they're doing it, just the artist, they can be close to the food court. While people is eating and taking time, they can watch the art. If not, if it's gonna be in some other places and people spending more time to look at them, it's gonna just take time from them. But one question, so when kids is coming with us, they need a ticket as well? Which age they have to get a ticket?
We will have to define that. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yes.
Or maybe Jody, maybe based on the county guidelines, is there an age?
I am certain that there is, but I don't know what that age is. I would imagine that age is very, very young. Probably like maybe
2
even
years.
1 year or older. Or
No, 2 years, and like less than 2 years, they don't need even wearing mask. So we cannot account them as a people. So anything above 2 years, they need to wear a mask.
I was going to mention about the monitoring, that moving along so people won't stay in one place too long, because there's somebody who's going to be talking about to keep moving and keep the distance. So I think that will be applied with the art people, I mean, the art area too. So I think we'll be fine. I'm excited though.
And I will have table to sell chalk outside of the event, so I will have a lot of profit, I think, because people, they will be excited to do that at their home.
All right, well, we wanted to bring you in on that, let you know that that's evolving. It was something that happened pretty quickly, and then we've been kind of running to figure out. But as Jody had said, I think the response that we've gotten or the interactions we've had have been so positive in terms of them embracing the night market vision and really wanting to fold in a way that's beneficial to both of us. So we've been talking about sharing all sorts of logistical things and just how to bring it in line. So glad you all are excited about it. Yes, it will probably attract, reach a broader audience as well. But luckily we get to run most of the logistics around that piece of it. So I do want to just make sure we're getting close to time. And so I just want to make sure maybe unless you have something really urgent, Jody, I was wondering if we could skip over and come back to the performer and adjacent business piece.
I think that as long as I have a couple of minutes to talk about vendor recruitment, I think that we can go ahead and talk about the selection criteria.
Okay.
I mean, or I could do that now.
Go for it. That's what I meant.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this year presents a challenge with vendor recruitment only because most of the way that we have done recruiting in the past, as people can attest to that, because I know y'all have done it, has been in person when we're at events or parties or any meetings or whatever. We hand out the cards and tell people, apply, and here's the information and here's the phone number, and it's much more challenging this year because those things have really, really slowed down. And so I just want to make a plea right now, and I'll hope to do that at the larger DAB meeting next time the large group meets, but we really need your help with recruitment. And a big way that you could help support is, of course, talking to your network and your community. Maybe if there is a group or that you're connected with, to send that information out via text or WhatsApp or email or Facebook or Instagram. You should be able to find the pictures of the recruitment cards on Facebook or on Instagram, or maybe I will email the copies of those to you that you could download onto your phone to share with people as well. But definitely reaching out with people and talking to them about this opportunity, because we want to make sure that as many people as possible know about it. The last thing that I'll say very, very quickly is about the performers. And the performances for this year's night market are going to look different than last year's night market for a number of reasons. We cannot have people sitting around a stage tightly packed and sort of camped there, for the same reason as we have time limits and capacity limits and distancing limits. And so we haven't quite fleshed out what the performance schedule and spaces look like yet, although we are leaning towards having the performers smaller groups, maybe within the dining areas, so that while people are eating, they can watch their performance, and scheduled out in a way that everybody who is passing through has the opportunity to see a performance at least within their hour and a half. But I think the biggest change is that there will not be a big headliner at the end of the evening. I think that that's sort of what we're landing on, because that would be really hard to be safe in that environment. More information on that to come.
I would just say, in terms of vendor recruitment, I looked at the site just a little bit ago, and it looks like we have 32 applications as of now. And I counted just the names that I recognized, which Jody probably would recognize more than me, but I recognized 11 returning and 21 new folks that I hadn't seen before. So that's not bad. We've still got time, but it's just gives you a sense of where we're at. And I think, as Jody said, we want to make sure, and we really appreciate those of you we know you all have been doing outreach already in some different ways. So really appreciate that, but definitely want to emphasize the importance of that extra push through networks instead of relying on getting to go places and recruit people. Although also I have given out some paper cards, vendor recruitment cards. And people have, I think, been going to different places and passing them out, some folks. So if you all want any of those, I can put some in the mail to you. You want some, Shara? Sure. I'll get you a stack in case you go to a food cart or you go to, you meet with somebody and you see that they could be good for the market.
Can I have one email to me and I can print it so I can put, because one of the ladies here where I live, they were asking me about the night market and I told them that we are recruiting vendors and she wants to know. She want to have so she can put in our page. We have a specific page here on Facebook. So I would like to have one so I can send it to her and she can put it. Okay. And also we having another chance next week for the vendors at the radio. So we will talk about recruiting vendors again. Okay.
That sounds good. So I think in terms of the vendor selection piece, I'm going to share my screen so I can just share with you all what the criteria was that we used last year. It's similar to previous years, but we modified a little bit last year. So remember, this would be you all going into the submittable platform and getting to look at somebody's application and side by side being able to score on these different categories. So we had Beaverton area business. And we had some ideas of different, you would select between these, right? You'd a maximum of 25 points that a vendor could get for this category, with preference given to people who have a business in Beaverton, but then, scaling down on the points. Whether the vendor is offering a unique cultural product. So normally that's what we're thinking about when we're looking for new things that have never been at the market before that you think would be new and interesting at the market. Compatibility of the business or the proposal the person is making with the market mission. So is it someone who wants to share culture through what they sell? Is it someone who wants to share their culture through what they sell? And you would address that. And then, this next one, I guess, was from last year and wouldn't be relevant this year, but maybe we want to replace this with something. Last year we had scoring, is this a priority candidate considering the current context and the virtual market format? So maybe there's something that we want to replace that with, or we just get rid of it in terms of priorities this year. And then we just had a couple ones that didn't have points, but we just asked you to help kind of give a on the surface, like thumbs up. I definitely think this is a night market vendor, or I'm not so sure, or thumbs down, and then just any observations. So this is what the score sheet looked like last year. Any comments about these or something that didn't, if this maybe stokes your memory about scoring last year, anything that didn't work well or that you would want to see us evaluate on this year that's different?
The part that says priority, I don't know if it's necessary.
Yeah, so this was because we were doing a virtual format, and so we were like thinking, there's some that really lend to the virtual format. So this is either irrelevant and we get rid of it, or we replace it with something else that might be special about this year that we would want to evaluate. So we
because about the virtual is, I don't know how many people knows or how it's going to affect or impact. So I don't know if it's necessary to keep it, but I don't know how can we replace that with. Okay.
Maybe we can add like multicultural.
Say a little bit more.
Should be like the priority will be to the multicultural vendors, like vendors who represent community of colors, maybe.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Yeah, so we definitely need to edit that one. Could be something just more general about prioritizing multicultural vendors, or could be that we don't really have a fourth criteria this time. So in terms of the review process, usually what we're gonna have is that the applications will be open until June 1st. And so at that time, but our next meeting as a subcommittee is on June 7th. And so what we're going to ask you all to do is to have all of the applications scored on your end by the 6th at the end of the day. It can be at midnight on the 6th if you like to work late. But so we have a little bit of time on the 7th just for Jody and I to like take a look and absorb that a little bit and then bring back a summary of kind of what we see there. So we can start the discussion. So you'll have, theoretically, you could have, we talked about this a little bit before, but just between, you know, I guess it's really the 2nd and the 6th, because they'll be open through the 1st. The 2nd and the 6th to score, or if we get a bunch of applications, I think you all were saying it'd be nice if you'd let us in a little bit early to get a head start on some of those. Now we don't know how many we're going to get yet, but we can certainly decide to do that if it seems like we're approaching the deadline and there's a ton of applications. But that would be the process. Basically, we at some point between now and then, I need to send you all an invitation to sort of reactivate your account in Submittable, or to get one if you don't already have it, so I can mark you as a scorer, as a panelist, and then you know, offer any orientation that's needed and get you all ready so that you are in that week or that 5 days span, you can get in and do all of your scores and make sure that they're all in, and then come to the table with some, you know, we'll have some discussion.
So when we will actually have the applications for us to start looking at it after the 1st? Can we have by the 2nd or 3rd so we can cut time?
Yeah, it can be, I mean, you can get in, the system will close on the 1st at midnight, or we can, that's what we have it set for right now. It'll close on the 1st at midnight, and then everything's in there. The nice thing is we don't have to compile or do any of that stuff we used to have to do, because it's just all in there, and you will be assigned, you'll have access to those. So again, if you want access a little bit earlier, we could open up your access like a week earlier or something. It just kind of, you know, depends on when you all are actually going to do the scoring, or if you have questions or technical issues.
Okay.
Alex, can we do like one meeting before the scoring? Because we have people, they did scoring before and they don't know how to do the score. At least we never gave them to that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you all want, I mean, if everybody wants it, we could do that together. If there's just a couple people that want that, then I could just schedule like a session with a few of you who haven't seen the system before, and we can walk through it. So yeah, how do you those of you who scored last year, do you feel like you would like a refresher, or you feel pretty like it was pretty easy last year? What do you think?
It was easy, but you know, it doesn't bother me if I have a little refresh in my guidance. It would not bother me. It was not hard, but it is good maybe to be a little more aware of some things that you might miss. Yep, I will go for it.
I like that too.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like 1 hour, maybe just 30 minutes is good.
Okay.
All going through the application. And after tonight, we're gonna have more vendors, because I have more people waiting for a lot of information that I got and going back. But one question, Jody, can people, like one Kurdish and Arabic people, apply together for food vendor? So I have a couple of people, they want to do that, like together and doing 2 different type of food. Are they allowed to do that?
So my thought on that is that if they want to do that because they actually want to merge together their foods into one offering to the customer, then that seems appropriate, and I would just list on the application a primary person and then a secondary person along with all of the foods that they would be offered. But if they want to do that to have space, if it's confusing to the customer, that might be a challenge.
Okay. And Kate, when the vendor is applied for selling food, so last year it was like, if you want to do a dolma, that's your food, that's the only thing you have to do a demo for. But in person, are they allowed to do more than one food? But
Yeah,
they have to mention it?
Yeah, they have to list all their foods on the application, and they can do more than one. They can do as many as they want, although if they're new to the vending in a market, probably it would be wise to limit their menu. Shara, if you want, maybe you and I can connect
Yes,
separately and you
please.
can ask all these questions.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you all so much. Oh yeah, go ahead.
By the way, I'm so grateful for you to mailing me the flyers, and I probably will ask for more because I'm giving them away like crazy. And
Thank you.
I gave the information to KBU as well, and they're going to announce it on Sundays from 11 to 12 every Sunday.
Thank you, Manisha.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you all for doing so much work on this, and it's really exciting.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. I'm just seeing that we're over time, so I want to bring things to a close. But if there's any follow-up conversations or any information that you need, let me or Jody know. I will look for a date for us to do a little orientation for submittable before the 1st. And we will follow up.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Alexis. I'm sorry. You talked about the panelists. I forgot about it. Could you refresh my memory on that, please?
Oh, just I'm just talking about the scoring. Sorry, I think submittable calls you a panelist when you're in, because you're sort of scoring applications. So an
Okay.
orientation so that you all can get a refresh on how to score applications.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's what I mean.
Thank you.
If you need it, if you want it, yeah, it can be optional.
Yeah, I like that.
Good suggestion. All right. Thank you
Thank you,
all.
everyone.
Appreciate you.
Thank you and have a good night. Jody, let me know which time you're available to